What's up, guys? Today we are going to be doing a defense video. This defense video is specifically for people who don't have many materials yet, but want to build a defense that can at least get some wins, because the majority of the materials that you're going to be getting, if you get a defense that can win, say 50% of the time, are going to be from tombstones. Tombstones can give anywhere between 1 and 5 materials each tombstone. So it's a pretty big deal to have a defense that can win at least somewhat, because you can log back on after a couple of days and have 10 tombstones, and then you could get upwards of 50 materials just from those tombstones alone. So it's a pretty big deal. It also seems to have a pretty high rate of dropping legendaries. I've gotten quite a few legendaries from tombstones, especially if if like the things that are killing the heroes require epics or legendaries to begin with, because the materials that you get is kind of based on whatever kills it, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. I've gotten epics or legendaries rather, from like this rotating flame trap or something like that. So it doesn't necessarily have to be from something that that requires legendary to do that. So let's go over the defense really quick. Before we start, I do want to give a shout out to Too Shy to Chat, because these rooms right here that you're going to be seeing a lot of are heavily inspired from his castle, mainly because I saw that those rooms could work just as good, if not better, with the old traps rather than the new traps, specifically ballistas. Ballistas got a damage decrease and an attack speed increase, and I think the attack speed increase isn't really as worth it. So I think that the old ballistas are probably better than the new ones. So using those in a room like this will be just as good as an old defense setup. And obviously the double damage that heroes do doesn't matter, because it kind of matters, I guess, because you're going through barricades, but it doesn't matter at the same time because you're not able to kill the traps. So it works just about as good. Not quite as good as it used to, but just about as good. And still does its job reasonably well. So basically you just have a little bit of... This isn't really anti-kiting, this is more anti-volley. If someone wants to volley down here and get these two traps, get these two barricades here, they have to stand inside of this fire zone, or get hit by these ballistas. The ballistas are more so if they go inside of this, same as the corrosive mines on the outside. If they try to go inside and either they like mess up their timing or get hit back or something like that, they'll get the debuff, and then they'll also get hit by maybe 1 or 2 ballista traps there. More importantly, this room, basically, you're just going in and you're trying to get to the end as quickly as possible, but you'll end up using your cooldowns right in this area and not have your cooldowns up for these last 4 barricades, and take a bunch of damage basically from ballista traps. I've seen these traps do as little as only 1/3 of a globe, and as much as using a potion and dealing, a half of globe on top of that. It's pretty common to see someone use a potion at least during 1 or 2 of these rooms as they're going through. This castle is about a 50% win rate right now, as I said before. It's decent to use if you don't have crafting materials. I think once people get crafting materials, there's probably better things that you could build, but this is very point efficient. You're not actually spending all that many points to do this. It's mostly in the barricades, and it has the opportunity of dealing a lot of damage. So continuing on, I'm just throwing stuff in my castle because I had a couple materials for spike traps, so I decided to use them. This is just an old ballista and an old rotating flame trap again. These units are for the most part new. The only things that aren't new are the ones that I don't think really matter. You have this dampener, it's going to silence regardless. You have this puppeteer. This Jimbo is new. The Puppeteer and the Defendatron are both old. Defendatrons don't do much damage anyway, so the double damage would only, as you can see, if I can mouse over it again, would only upgrade it from 100 damage to 200 damage. It's not a big deal. I don't think their health or resistances are different at all, so I can leave those in there. Everybody that's level 30 should have like 7 or so trap smelly archers, so you can throw those in anyway. The only thing that really people wouldn't have would be the Jimbo here. And also, I think I have a couple new mouse wheel traps, but I think it would work just about as good with older ones. I think there's like a 10% damage increase, which is like 30 damage at best. A couple more barricades. This setup also requires a ton of barricades. Like, I still don't have enough to do everything that I want to do in terms of barricades, so it might take quite a bit of gold farming to actually get the barricades that you need. I had 40 before I even started this defense, and I feel like I need more. But anyway, that's basically this room. Going forward, we have, again, another setup that I had previously, exactly the same thing as over here, except I changed it up a little bit. You could do the exact same thing that I had over here. You could do that. You could put ballistas in and just do that exactly. I wanted to change it up a little bit and put some goatmen inside of it, see how they work. So I just kind of threw it together. I thought I was being really sneaky by having these goatmen in between these barricades over here. It actually ends up not working out at all. As you'll see in some of the replays, they just kind of have to walk to the middle before they can throw or anything like that. What I was kind of hoping for is someone would go into here, start fighting the Jimbo, and then they would both shoot each other from different angles. 2 Bola Strike and 3 Boomerang Goatmen here, and then a Jimbo as well. On Personal Bubble, I think because there was a nerf to the damage that heavy-handed Jimbos do, I think Personal Bubble might be better now than it used to be. A few less ballista traps in order to do this, but it's basically the same general setup. Obviously a couple less barricades as well. And then again, now I ran out of materials to build spike traps here, so I ended up using the old ones instead. I think these are new mouse wheels. These mouse wheels are kind of pointless, same as these ballista traps. Like I said, I just kind of threw the rest of this defense together. You could easily do these 3 rooms, the ballista rooms, and a boss room, like an all in the boss room strategy, and it would work out probably just as good. You might need a little bit of anti-cutting beforehand, but it would work out pretty much just as good as what I'm doing here. I wanted to segment up my castle because I think it does a little bit better at dealing sustained damage than a boss room does, but it's kind of the same thing. If you can force out 2 or 3 potions with these rooms, you should probably be able to kill someone with an all in the boss room because they're only going to have 1 or 2 potions left. So generally a boss room can deal that much damage. Moving on past that, like I said, a couple spike traps, again, 2 more mouse wheels. If I had more barricades, I might be able to make this tunnel a little bit longer. That's what I'm kind of going for here, is I want there to be a little bit of a tunnel to make these mouse wheels at least somewhat effective, but it does its job. I started off with a bear trap smelly archer. There's some problems with the creatures right now, specifically that they don't get their tier abilities. I don't know if that's intended or if it's a bug and they just kind of overlooked the fact that that was happening, but basically archers will only launch 1 bear trap, just like they would before defense crafting. If you had like a level 1 or whatever the lowest level is trap smelly archer, it would launch 1 bear trap, and then if you had a tier 4 smelly archer, which I don't remember what level it was, but after you upgraded him 3 times from tier 1 to tier 4, he'd get 2, and then to tier 7 he'd get 3, or something like that. It was something similar, same as like the Bone Puppeteers. I believe they don't have their AoE anymore on a lot of their abilities because that was something they got from a different tier. It's a lot of similar things. Mouse wheel traps used to roll faster. Surprisingly enough, spike traps do have all 3 of their panels active. That probably goes all the way down to level 1. Actually, yeah, even the other ones having them active. Some of them seem to be working, other ones don't. It seems kind of weird. I don't know. The update seems like it broke a few things. I'm not sure if a lot of this stuff was intended or if it was something that they messed up on. Some of the stat differences seem to be like the patch notes don't actually tell you everything that's going on. I'm not sure if these things were intended. It almost seems like they used a database for some of the creatures that was before they gave everything like a 20% hit point buff back a couple patches ago, even maybe before open creation. I don't remember when they did that. Because a lot of these like derps lost some hit points through the patch, and the new ones have less hit points than the old ones did. Things like that seem kind of odd. Hopefully they will go through and correct some of this stuff for the next patch. Because I do think there's enough to work with right now, and everybody's got to be farming materials if you want to build a defense anytime in the next month. Like, it takes a lot of materials to actually build something. If you think you have enough of like the most trash materials in the game, you don't, because like I have a ton of materials right now. I can show it. But also built a few things. Like this is my material page right here. I have a bunch of stuff because I've been getting some tombstones from a lot of attackers and stuff like that. I thought I had a ton of these eagle souls. As you can see, I have 2 stacks of them because one of my stacks was full at 100 or 99 or whatever it is, and so it started another stack. And then as I was starting to build a few creatures, some of these creatures take upwards of 20 of these eagle souls for one creature, so I just did not have enough whatsoever. At first I didn't have enough of this danger oxide. I couldn't find it at all when I was farming. I was trying to go through some like chicken farms and stuff like that because I just wanted to find materials as quickly as possible, and I just wasn't finding any of this stuff. I probably got 8 of these today just from tombstones. For the most part today I've been just unshielding myself and letting people attack me because it's one of the best ways. As you can see, my DPS is a little bit higher. Tomorrow I'm going to do a video on like balance and just talking about what the patch actually did to the game, because I went over it in my patch overview, but I didn't go in depth because I hadn't played it yet. So now that I've played, I might go over some things like DPS might actually be better than hit points. Now as you can see, my hit points are slightly lower because I switched back to my DPS gear. Having 2200 hit points allows me to one-shot volley almost everything in the game, besides bosses, and bosses take like 6,000 damage from a headshot if it crits, or something like that. But anyway, back to the defense. I don't remember where I left off exactly. I think I left off at this room right here. So following on again, this is just another straight-up ballista room. Something that I want to talk about is these right here. You actually should use the smaller ones, these gold tier 2 ones. You should use these in place of these bookshelves at the very front of these rooms, because ballistas can shoot over them, but they can't shoot over these tall bookcases. They'll actually hit the tall bookcases, but they won't hit the crates. So I have to switch that out at some point as well. This is a little overkill. I put a ton of corrosive mines around here. I don't really know why I did it, just because I had extra points, I guess. Towards the end of my castle I ran out of materials. I remember when I built this, it was really late as well. I wanted to go to sleep, so I just kind of threw the end together. Another ballista room, and then this is the final group here. I actually have a few of these Devlins. I'm testing them out. Tomorrow again I'm going to be doing the balance update. Along with that, I'll do like kind of a spotlight video for the Devlin and the Goatman, talking about how good they are. 2 dashing Cyclopses to push them back into the room. If it works, it works. If not, that's fine. They do actually kind of work against the Devlins a little bit. Actually, you'll only see one of these Devlins in all of the replays because I haven't validated this yet. I just threw this in a couple hours ago, and I haven't ran through and revalidated because this time is pretty hard. And then obviously the boss room is just empty. That's not actually that big of a deal. Normally, having an empty boss room allows someone to run straight from the beginning all the way to the end, and then just kill everything in the boss room. And although you can do that, there's so many barricades in these rooms that it slows you down quite a bit, and it's possible that that things will catch up and start dealing damage to you. So keep that in mind when you're building your castle, that you can leave your boss room empty, I think, in this type of setup. So I think that's pretty much it. We're going to jump into a couple of replays. And it's a solid defense to start off with if you don't have many materials. It'll get you a few wins if you're at level 30 and you throw these rooms in. It'll get you a couple. You will need some support with it because these 3 rooms by themselves, if someone uses potions through them, they will be able to get through them with 1 or 2 potions left, sometimes more. I think only 1 person out of everyone that's attacked me has used 0 potions, which would be Zhang Liao or whatever. He has some amazing gear as well, and he had died 3 times before that, so we'll look through his replays in a little bit. We're going to start off probably with this Mighty Lincoln right here, and just go through quite a few of these level 30s that die, just to show off how the defense is supposed to work. This is some pretty cool looking gear on this archer. But yeah, you'll see how this thing's zoning. He can't really look down the hallway very well. He's trying to get a feel for what's going on. But he's going to take damage just to try to get in here. You can see the barricades as you're walking around. He's doing a pretty good job, you know, avoiding everything. And he might even wait for these corrosive mines to go off, which is fine. If I can force someone to 2-star, that's completely fine. So you can see that his volley missed right there. The reason why that misses is that front barricade. If you don't have the volley like initial circle where you're casting it far enough down the hallway, it'll miss completely. It counts as like a wall, so it'll just act like you're shooting it directly into a wall, which is pretty cool. That only really works on volley. It doesn't work on like vortex from archers. Again, he's trying to do it. He doesn't really understand how that works yet. It's not something that a lot of people do quite yet, but it's definitely really strong if you do it correctly. So you can see he's already used one potion there, and he got that corrosive debuff on him, which is huge. It's been tested. I tested it myself. The corrosive mine debuff lowers resistances, not armor. It says armor in the tooltip. It's actually resistances as a whole. It's magic armor and physical armor. So you will take the extra 50% damage or whatever it is from everything when you have that debuff on you, as well as dealing 50% less damage. It allows a lot of people to have to like 2 or 3 shot barricades instead of 1 or 2 shot, depending on what their DPS is. So this, you can see, why this tunnel's here, is if he was able to just roll across that, it would be a lot easier. Since he has to deal with that that barricade over there, it's making him take a little bit of extra spike trap damage and mouse wheel damage, which is why that's in there. You know, these two traps are kind of useless. They don't hit all that often, but they're okay. I mean, they help to force someone to have to like go across these spike traps in a little bit different of a way, you know. He actually came in here with less potions than Max, so he's obviously not going to make it through this. Not to say that you can't get through a castle with only using 2 potions, and not to say you can't get through this castle with using only 2 potions, but he's taking too much damage from everywhere else in my castle that I don't think he's going to make it. He's going to get timed out here. My time is pretty good, as you can see. He's still got 2 of these ballista rooms to go through, and then a couple extra mob groups as well. You really have to rush to try to get through on time. It's pretty difficult to 3-star. But it is doable. I could probably get the time down a little bit more, and I might try to do that when I validate next time, with that 1 extra Devlin. So he does, as you can see, he gets the volley that time, because he put it in a good position. He put it right on top of the barricade, so it did manage to do that, and work out. And he managed to aggro everything that was inside of that room, which is pretty good for him as well. I'll 2x it because he's probably going to wait until a lot of this stuff comes out. I'm not sure if he's going to die right here. He's got 5 minutes, but he might have died and resurrected. A lot of people tend to do that in my castles when I don't do videos on them, mainly because they want to see what I'm doing in the new patch. This I wasn't even sure if I was going to do a video on it, because I just scrapped it together to get some wins. My last castle was not getting wins at all because everything was, you know, chickenpoxed, and it's too easy to kill mob groups if there's not heavy trap pressure around them right now. You really have to protect your mobs. If you're going to use monsters at all, you have to protect them pretty heavily or else they're going to die pretty quickly. So here's this Bola Strike Goatman. His hitbox seems larger than it actually is. As you can see, it's kind of hitting his character, but it's not quite hitting properly. It does deal 3 ticks of damage, which is pretty nice. I'll talk about the Goatman in general a little bit more tomorrow when I do a video, or maybe the next day. I'm not sure exactly when that video is going to come out. I haven't recorded it yet, but it'll depend if I have enough time to record tomorrow or if I have to record it on Thursday morning or something like that. Alright, so again, he's taking a bunch of damage from ballistas. So I'd say this room is another success. He's used 2 potions. He should be using a 3rd right here. I would say that's in a pretty good spot to force someone to use all 4 potions and still struggle to get through the castle. You know, this is 9, 15, I think, points that I could use somewhere else. I just don't know where else I would really use them. The thing about this castle is you're going to need all 8 rooms to do it. I actually had to upgrade my architect lab for the first time that I actually was using all of my rooms to do it, which I like that. I like how it's actually making use of all of the rooms pretty well. Mainly because those ballista rooms are so point efficient. Alright, so he ends up dying right here. And there's that. Okay. I guess we can go into Gaw next. So you can see Zhang Liao or whatever died 3 times in my castle and then I ended up doing without any potions whatsoever, which is pretty good. I don't know why this has been happening a lot too. It shows them having zero hit points until they end up taking some damage. This guy dies actually pretty quickly. That can happen if you rush a little bit too quickly, is you'll use one potion, and then, like, he has to use a potion here, pretty much. And then once he uses it, if he takes too much damage right here, his potion's on cooldown. Although it's not showing it. You'll be able to see that. But yeah, Vortex goes through barricades. It's pretty strong. Like, Mage probably has the best time here, although Knights tank it really well as well also. I would say this setup is probably best suited against archers, but it still works decently against the other classes. I don't think I've actually killed a knight in my castle yet. Maybe one knight. It's pretty hard to kill knights right now. Their resistances and hit points are really high. They're still weak to like heavy amounts of monsters all in one area because they can't kill everything really quickly. They don't have good AoE attacks. Other than King Dragon Slash, which is a really high cooldown and a really high mana cost. Alright, so he's about to die, it looks like, in this room. I wonder if the Goatmen get the kill. Or if it's the Jimbo. It's probably the Jimbo. Oh no, it is the Goatmen. So you can see Goatmen. I mean, they're pretty good. Like, I'll talk about it a little bit more in depth tomorrow, but they're pretty good units. Let's watch the first of Zhang Liao's loss. This guy seems to not like to use potions in castles. He's quite good of an attacker. Like, I'll give him that. He tags all of his wins against people with the best archer was here, and he's got very good gear. But he doesn't like to use potions. You'll see in this, and I watched all of his replays when they came through, and he's very, you know, I don't know the word that I want to use for it, but he doesn't like to use potions at all. He will sit there on like 100 hit points, and he will just like I would use a potion here, but he doesn't. Like, he uses it after he was dead because he knew he was gonna die, and there's that bug where it's just a little bit too delayed and doesn't actually go through. But it doesn't end up managing to let him get through without using any potions whatsoever. I might actually watch this replay in a little bit as like one of the losses, because that's pretty good to not use any potions whatsoever. Yeah, you can see the knights. They're pretty difficult to get to make them use potions. Only one potion on that guy. Because now I've talked to him. You know, obviously we did a stream together. We've talked after this update. He knows what castle I was kind of using and stuff like that. But that's all fine. He actually 3-starred it, which is pretty impressive. Alright, we're gonna go through these 2 replays. Maybe like one more win, and then we'll do 1 or 2 losses.
Is this what passes for a castle these days?
I want to get someone that uses all 4 potions and gets pretty far in my castle, so you can see how it works, like through sustained damage like that. So again, he's trying to volley at the end. It won't work because there's 2 barricades over there. You have to really place it like on the edge. You have to place it on the mouse wheels basically, not on the barricades. And then all it will do is kill those 2 front barricades, and there'll still be the rest of them. Which is the whole point of having those front barricades right there. Well, that and because the ballistas behind it can shoot over. So if you go to the end there, so he got it right there. He's gonna end up getting those 2. There's 2 barricades, but he's already taken a half hit point worth of damage. That's why this rotating flame trap is so important. Oh, another thing, rotating flame traps. There was like a 20% damage buff, I think it is, but again, one of those units that I think could be bugged because it's the old point cost. So basically, instead of 234, it's 345. Like, they changed it a little while ago, and it got changed back during this patch, and I don't know why. It wasn't in the patch notes as that, so that's why I'm thinking that it could be a bug, and that they used old database when they were making these changes is the only thing that I can think of. I think that's actually happened in the past, but at that point it was actually a buff to defense, I believe. There were some nerfs, and one of the patches they used an old database to make some of their changes, and nobody really complained about it. So actually the puppeteers do. Oh no, that's an old puppeteer. Never mind. I was going to say the puppeteers have their AOE, but that's an old one. I don't know if the new ones do. You'll notice though that a lot of the new creatures lose their added abilities at tier 4 and tier 7. Some of them aren't that big of a deal. Other ones, like the bear trap archers, are a pretty big deal. So he took a full tick of that rotating flame trap damage to throw that volley down. Like, that's pretty bad. Like, it's not really worth it to do that. So that's always a good thing. You know, taking 400 to 600 damage from that rotating flame trap just to get 2 of those barricades down is definitely not worth it for an attacker. And he gets timed out again. He's only about halfway through my castle, so that time is pretty aggressive. I have very high DPS, so it's easy for me to get through these barricades pretty quickly. He manages to get that volley down properly, but these tall bookshelves will survive volleys. That's one good thing about them. The problem with them is that if they're up next to those, the ballistas won't shoot over, so they're not really in danger of taking that much damage, except for maybe the mouse wheels. And then it looks like he's going to volley again. He's going to volley the goatmen from there and probably kite them out. A few people do this. It's fine. I don't think it's necessary for those things to stay alive. They have the opportunity to kill someone by themselves, but if they all die, it's not really that big of a deal. Goatmen being 3-point units, their downside is their hit points, so if you do get a good volley on all of them, then obviously they're going to probably just die. But every little bit of damage counts when they're going through this castle. He's got 2 potions left. And again, he gets a big tick of, I think it was, I don't know exactly what the damage he took there was. I was paying attention to Goatman instead of that. I don't know if it was the rotating flame trap or just double volley plus mouse wheel. But he had to use another potion there. So he used 2 potions to get through this room. Although it looked really good with what he was doing, because he kited the Goatman really well, he still had to use 2 potions. So it worked out extremely good in my favor. Spike traps are still good. For their 2-point cost, they still do a lot. If they did make rotating flame traps 4 points, they probably would be quite good now. I'm using a Zeke on split shot. As you can see, he actually got his shotgun off right there. If you get too close to them, he's going to actually revive and go through it. But if you get too close to the Zeke shots and they hit you with all 3 bolts, it's pretty devastating amount of damage. I don't know. They used to be a really good unit. You used to be able to use them on Enrage, and they would be actually better than Headshot. I'm trying to go back to that just to see how good they are because of the damage increase. Because they have the highest possibility of hitting someone. Like, Headshot is pretty easy to avoid. Split Shot hits a little bit more often. And then obviously the one Devlin here. I'm just kind of testing him out. I've seen him in other castles. I have a good idea of how I feel about him. I'll talk about it again, like I said, in the next video. I'm going to go over balance and stuff like that. Alright, and then all of my mines are at the end. There's a couple mines not at the end. There's a couple mines throughout my castle, but for the most part I want them all at the end so that people time out as quickly as possible. Okay, let's go for this Apple guy. Here's Too Shy to Chat going over. He even says it, like, you know, I can see a little bit of me in it. I did take a lot of the ideas. You know, I was talking to him for a while when he was streaming. I was, you know, watching and talking to him about the game and talking to him about the update and stuff like that. Just, you know, overall just kind of getting other people's feedback and stuff like that on the update is nice. His castles have been pretty impressive to me for a while also. You know, the first one after Barricades, this was pretty good. He had some really good ideas going into it, and then I just ran his castle because I liked his castle before. I ran it after the defense update. He hadn't updated his castle yet, but it was still difficult to get through because of these ballista traps. So I really liked that as well. That's why I ended up using that type of a room in my my castle as well. So I mean, if you want extra inspiration when you're building this castle or whatever, obviously there's some little changes here and there. You know, I didn't go like super in depth and copy everything. I just kind of looked through his castle and made something similar. I didn't copy it, you know, ballista for ballista, you know, barricade for barricade. I just kind of made something similar looking and similar feeling and what as well. So if you wanted a little added inspiration, you could go through his castle as well. Or, you know, check out his stream. I think it's like Milladin or something like that. I guess I could, let's see, what is it? Look it up. Mildan, twitch.tv, Mildan is his stream. You check that out as well. Alright, so there he ended up dying in that Jimbo room with the goat men. Alright, let's see, what else do we have? And I mean, even him that has a castle very similar to this, you can see he used 3 potions the first time, 4 potions the second time. Even though he got through, it's still very close to killing him. Alright, let's do like one more win. See what else we have here. I want someone that has, let's see, let me look for a specific one that I'm thinking would be good. Maybe like this guy that uses 4 potions and dies. That means he makes it pretty difficult. Or he makes it pretty far, but ends up dying. So let's try out this replay here, and then after that, I'll go into like 1 or 2 losses of my castle, and then I'll finish out the video.
This pathetic excuse for a castle will soon be rubble.
After I do that balance video in like the spotlight for the Devlin and the Goatman, I might do viewer castles again. I don't know how many people actually have their castles updated. I realize a lot of people are going to take a while before they can update a castle the way that they want to, because it takes quite a bit of materials to be able to build a castle completely from scratch. That's why this is a really good filler. That's basically why I'm doing this video, is because this room is great for filler. It might not be the most effective setup whatsoever, like completely, after you get materials, but before you get enough materials to completely rebuild your castle, it's pretty good. You know, I have a couple ideas of what I'm going to do after I get materials, but having things die so quickly right now it's going to be a problem. I feel like they're not going to be able to continue with this. It's good and bad at the same time. Like, I like the fact that everything feels really dangerous right now, but at the same time, when I'm able to one-shot volley elites, like, that's a problem. So, I don't know. You know, when I'm going through castles, if there's not good barricade setups, I can just run to the end of the castle, headshot the boss, and then volley on top of everything, and that's it. And then the castle's like over. It's all just death.
My thirst is quenched.
The castles that I do have problems with are ones with very good barricade setups, where they put you in a position that is really hard to get out of, and you have to try to rush down the barricades or just die. That's the ones that I'm having the most trouble with, basically. That's a pretty good spot. He actually gets right in between the rotating flame trap and ends up getting a good vortex off. But he's already used 3 potions, and it's just slowly whittling him down.
I must retreat.
So yeah, going into a room with these boomerang goatmen is pretty dangerous. That can be easily, I don't even know. It's a ton of damage though. They do so much damage. You really want to keep them at range if you can, or you know, drop a volley or drop a vortex like this guy did or something like that. But a couple seconds later, and he would have died just from that. He's got one potion left. I believe he's got one ballista room to go through, and 2 other groups. He's got this group that's coming up, a ballista room, and then one more group. And he's got to do that with 2,000 hit points left. And it looks like maybe this is going to be a win for the Zeke here. Obviously the Zeke has a Defendatron on him, because if not he would die instantly from the double damage that everybody has. That's pretty much what we're going to have to go back to, is a lot more defensive play for our creatures. Keeping 1 or 2 key creatures alive during fights will be pretty important. Alright, so let's do a couple losses. Let's do Too Shy to Chat, because actually, me and him have our specific ways of going through this. Let's not actually watch that one. Let's watch Zhang layout as for an archer, using no potions whatsoever after 3 attempts, and then we'll watch like a mage or a knight go through as well.
You're going to be far poorer 3 minutes from now.
Giving away the secrets of the easiest way to get through these rooms is not ideal before I'm ready to rebuild my castle. Right now that's like the majority of where I'm getting my materials from, so I need to at least continue to get some tombstones in my castle every day. So you can see his DPS is very high. It's well over 2,000, I'm not sure. I think it's like 2,400. Along with the 4,000 or so. I think it's like 38 to 4,000 hit points that he has. I don't know. It's bugged right now. I can't see it, but he does take quite a bit of damage here. I'm actually surprised. Like, this is a point where I would use a potion. Almost always. But he's very good at dodging everything. So he's at 1,600 hit points, 1,400, and he actually gets through the rest of my castle without using one potion whatsoever. Like, that's really good. This Zeke, if this Zeke got a good shot off, it could one-shot him, but he just goes through it, no problem. He's pretty good at attacking, I'll admit it. His DPS does help him get through this very easily, and he's on the last group right here. This is about the perfect run that you can get through with my castle, where you're just taking almost no damage from those ballista rooms, and then that's it. We'll just speed it up until he gets through. Alright. Let's see if we can find somebody else. Alright, that was weird. OBS stopped recording for a second, but I jumped into this Crimson Link replay. He's a level 30 knight with 5,300 hit points, and you'll see he only takes about 100 from ballista shots, where a lot of other people take. That's with the debuff as well. A lot of other people take, you know, 150 to 300 with the debuff. Probably closer to 300 with the debuff, so he's got high resistances, high hit points. Just seeing how a knight goes through right now. He actually does it quick as well. Knights are usually pretty slow. I guess actually King Dragon Slash is really helping him here though. I'm wondering if he has some mana steal or something like that to keep his mana up pretty high. Although the fire ray weapon might help him keep mana. This generates mana as well. So charge helps also, I guess. Yeah, he just attacks a little bit and then he gets enough for King Dragon Slash and that just kills everything. So I guess Knight's King Dragon Slash is a pretty good ability now. If you have enough mana generation to keep up with it. There's a couple slow mines and corrosive mines inside of these Ballista rooms too. I didn't really talk about that, but if you can get a snare off, it does help the ballistas hit. And there we go. He's gonna get through with only using one potion. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna just speed through this last little bit of the replay. And yeah, it's a decent defense to start off with. Something that people can use if they don't have enough crafting materials to build something themselves. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching. Tomorrow we will do a a balance video, just talking about the balance, talking about maybe different gear to use. We'll talk about the Devlin, and we'll talk about Goatmen and stuff like that. Tomorrow or the next day. I'm not sure which day that video will come out, but yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.